Ronaldo put the naughty in noughties.
Ronaldo! Brazil in front! It's Ronaldo!
The gap-toothed genius lived on a diet of booze, burgers and Brazilian booty, and still found time to win 2 Ballon d'Ors. From halftime fags to flogging porn to Pato, this is the story of O Fenômeno.
Buscando la arrancada, el golpeo de Ronaldo, el balón está dentro, golazo de Ronaldo.
Welcome back to the Upshot. My name is Jack Rivlin. JP is scowling at me.
O Fenômeno what?
O Fenômeno. That's what they're called. How's your Portuguese, guys? I need you to speak a bit of Portuguese on this episode.
Ele não fala português.
O Fenômeno. The phenomenon.
It's good pronunciation. I was trying it earlier and did a much worse job. So.
I regularly practice my Portuguese. My name is Jack Rivlin. This is The Upshot. Zachary Sweeney-Lynch is here.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. And sipping a caipirinha and samba dancing towards us is JP Lockwood.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
Pleasure to be back.
Welcome. This is a fun one, isn't it?
Hola.
How is your samba?
Great.
It's quite a difficult dance, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, have you ever...
That's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can...
You're going to do one now?
I'm just going to stand. I'm not mic'd. So. I think it's like... It's like that, isn't it? That's samba.
All I'm going to say is those hips do not lie.
Yeah, that's samba.
It's this new haircut that's done it to you.
Yeah. Trim my hair.
Jack came in with a Mondo Duplantis haircut.
A bob.
The Swedish pole vaulter.
The pole vaulter guy who...
you were saying was very handsome on a pod.
Yeah, the next day...
2 days later you came in with this haircut.
Just took a picture of it into the hairdresser.
When you say this haircut, do you mean your haircut?
Well, it's actually a bit longer.
Mine's a bit longer now. So.
Yeah,
I mean, there ain't much going on in terms of like difference.
I've been trying to distance myself
from me.
No. Anyway, that's my samba dancing. I thought it was quite good.
Really good.
Yeah,
We'll get that up on YouTube, Instagram, Reels.
Yeah. It's famously difficult.
Is it?
So, yeah.
That was good.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Guys, we're talking about one of the greats today.
We are.
Do you know what I hate is that we have to call him R9 or Ronaldo Nazario, because obviously Cristiano is on his own level of fame. But, you know, Ronaldo is one of the greatest footballers to ever kick a ball.
Easy.
Our sort of childhood, speaking for myself anyway, he was the god.
Yeah.
Definitely for me. So the first World Cup that I really remember was 2002. And he was just unreal in that tournament. He was the best player in the world. He probably had been for the previous
4 years,
4 or 5 years, really.
Yeah.
I think the 98 World Cup was the first World Cup. Obviously, we were probably in the same age group, but I really remember. And he was the standout player, even though it obviously didn't go that well for him in the final. But just like that kit, him, those boots, the silver boots he had, it was just like, wow.
The R9s,
The R9 boots, yeah.
And he was, at that point, just like the complete player, because he was so fast and strong. He was sort of the first footballer in that era who was like kind of PlayStation-y. Like he had tricks, he did step overs, he did the flip flaps.
Yeah, that's from the futsal days, isn't it? Like probably street ball and that kind of like mentality, bringing that into like a professional scenario. Just like, what's the word? It's just a bit unorthodox.
Yeah, improvised, spontaneous, and he would just get the ball and just run at defences. Like so direct.
Yeah.
Such a fun person to watch.
I think I was reading that he sort of revolutionised the striker role by doing that. I think before it was a lot more, you had your quick striker or you had your target men, whereas he was, he'd drop deep, pick up the ball, run from midfield. He could do everything.
Yeah, he'd receive it a lot earlier, didn't he?
Yeah. Maldini actually said, they were talking about obviously the best players I've ever played with, and he said like, okay, you look at Ronaldo, you look at his skills and stuff, and they said the movement off the ball was the best in the world. He completely revolutionised that game.
Yeah, and such a fun character. I mean, we talk a lot about the balance of like having a great career versus like having a laugh. I think this guy gets it pretty spot on. Like, he has a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd be the same.
Yeah. Do you think even now you could be? Because he gets quite fat and it does cost him, let's be honest.
You're saying I'm getting quite fat?
I'm just a bit worried that, too fat for the pod.
I did notice there was no lunch today. Cheeky bastard.
No, I just think like in the modern era, could you like have as much fun as Ronaldo does? I mean, we'll obviously talk about this at the end as well.
I mean, he definitely got away with it in a way that players don't now. I don't know. I mean, maybe if the best player in the world right now did have that lifestyle and was still pulling out the bag on the pitch, maybe they'd be able to get away with it. But I don't know. You can kind of look at how Ronaldo's later career went, and he suffered a lot with injuries, and he got a little bit chubby, and probably that was not helped by his lifestyle over the previous decade. So I don't know, you can kind of say that it kind of caught up with him in the end, but at his peak, he was the best player in the world and an absolute animal.
And on a level with any best player of any era, I would argue. This might be stretching it all a bit, but for me as well, he's like quite emblematic of a time in history where you could basically be like, everything's going to be fine. Do you know what I mean? Like the world wasn't racked by so much division and fear as it was then. It was just like, you know, he's running at defences.
Haven't had a player like that since 9/11.
Yeah, but I'm kind of saying that, yeah. Before the towers had come down, you know, there was just R9 running at people.
Joyous.
I think that's true. There was less anxiety in both football and the wider world.
Since the MP's expenses scandal, we've seen nothing like it.
Since Rolf Harris was unmasked. I guess some people would say quite a lot of bad shit was going on back then.
Yeah.
It would only become clear later. But anyway, at the time, it certainly felt like there was a bit more sense of stability and certainty. And I like to think Ronaldo deserves some credit for that. Just a fella playing street football. I've over-intellectualised
that for World Peace,
Should we kick off? Do you want to take us back, Zach?
Take you back to the start. So Ronaldo grew up in a small city in the suburbs of Rio de Janeiro. He dropped out of school when he was 11. Apparently he never really went anywhere. He was always bunking off to play football. And after dropping out, he joined a futsal team at the age of 12. And he was an absolute prodigy there. So he scored 166 goals in his first season. And at that point was picked up by a local 11-a-side team. And playing for that 11-a-side team, they earned a small amount of money. It was sort of enough to cover their lunch and their bus fare to training. One of his teammates said that they used to skip the bus fare so they could spend money on clothes to look like Bayi funk stars. It's a sort of popular music genre, sort of like hip-hop-y genre that originated in Rio. He recalled later, Ronaldo used to tell us that he'd go to the Bayi funk dances and get with loads of women, but he didn't. He was ugly as fuck. Who was he going to get?
Well, it turns out quite a lot.
Yeah, it turns out everyone.
Yeah, it does help when you're prodigiously talented. Yeah. But anyway, so he's scouted actually by Jairzinho, the Brazil legend, who recommends him to Cruzeiro, who are a Brazilian top flight side. And he joins them when he's 16. He scores 4 goals in his debut for the youth team and instantly gets promoted to the first team.
Strong start.
It is, yeah. And his first season there, he scores 20 goals in 21 games, including 5 in one match.
Oh, so this is like an Erling Haaland type thing where you're like, even then,
you're going to go
just
big.
Dominant.
Yeah, they knew from right at the start that they had a prodigy on their hands. But it's not only his football that's turning heads. So Ronaldo also stars in a teen drama on Brazilian TV. It's called Malacao. And he plays
gripping. I've watched it.
Yeah, you've watched all 7 series for research. Yes, he plays a footballer called Robertinho.
See what they did there?
who coaches a girls' football team. You can watch a little clip of it.
Você deve ser a capitã do time, né?
Só.
Qual é seu nome?
Mariana.
Is he just looking off?
Can we just describe what we've seen?
Describe what we've seen. I think that's one of the best bits of television I have ever seen.
Right, so there's a scene where there's sort of like, initially he sort of arrives, gives the team a few tips, then he's in the locker room, like just being like, I think he said like, listen up, you need to train harder. It's a girls' football team. And then he is pictured hugging one of them quite passionately when they score. And then there's just a scene where he looks a bit more flirty. He's quite good looking, I think, there.
Yeah.
And then there's just a scene where he's just snogging one of them.
Yeah, just having it off of him.
Yeah, it's just...
I feel like this whole show is just an excuse to get loads of Brazilian girls in very short, tight shorts.
Yeah, with Ronaldo.
And
for him to get with them.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit of a heartthrob there.
Yeah, so he the one that he was kissing, his girlfriend in the show was played by his real girlfriend in real life, Susanna Werner.
There's nothing seedy about it then.
Do you think she put herself forward when she saw how much Ronaldo was going to be necking off in the show?
Yeah, I think I'll play that character. He's like,
no. So she's actually now married to Julio Cesar.
Really?
A bit of trivia for you.
Small world, those Brazilian football
Brazilian
circles. There is a bit of like swapping going on.
Yeah.
So was that series written to be about Ronaldo, or is that like a sort of 3 episodes?
No, so I think he has a cameo as an existing show.
He's got quite a lot of lines there.
Yeah.
And a snogging scene.
Yeah.
He delivers quite well.
Yeah, he does.
Delivers it all well.
Nice. I mean, what might have been?
Yeah.
So he's the coach and he's getting with one of them.
Yeah, it's like,
That was fine back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Happens in Bend It Like Beckham as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking about the Bend It Like Beckham scene then, actually. But I feel like the Bend It Like Beckham scene's a bit more... they like really fall in love, don't they?
Are you saying Ronaldo's not in love with his
don't really
left
look like
winger?
Anyway, so he doesn't follow the path of the silver screen, and instead Ronaldo's called up for the 1994 World Cup. So he's 17 at this point. Brazil win the World Cup, but he stays on the bench for the whole tournament, doesn't
Mental.
play.
So he's got a World Cup medal at 17.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah. I don't. Do you get a medal if you don't play?
Don't know.
I'm not sure if you're part of the squad.
Really?
Not
He
sure.
must do.
Anyway, but that summer, it's time to move to Europe, and he joins PSV Eindhoven, and he's absolutely prolific for them as well. He scores 54 goals in 58 games over 2 seasons. Apparently, he also picked up a decent level of Dutch while he was there, which is quite impressive. I don't know if he took the Steve McLaren adopting
School of Dutch.
Ronaldo. 58 goals.
54 goals in 55 games.
So that's they're like a proper like European giant.
I
at that
think,
point, aren't
yeah,
they?
this is back when the
Back when
Eredivisie was
golden.
quite good.
Yeah, when football was a bit more equal.
Yeah.
I think that was around the time Ajax won the Champions League, right?
Right,
yeah, they won it in
96.
That was 95. or
95,
something.
okay,
So
yeah.
anyway, it's around that sort of time. So he does 2 seasons in the Eredivisie, and then the big boys come calling. So Barcelona pay £13.2 million for him.
Is that record?
It's a world record fee. And for them as well, he's absolutely unbelievable. So he's managed there by Bobby Robson, who describes him as,
R.I.P.
he says, out of this world, he was a god.
Wow.
So Ronaldo scores 49 goals in 51 games for them. For some reason, though, he only stays with Barcelona for 1 season. Sort of seems
He
weird.
chops and changes quite a lot, doesn't he?
In his early career,
in
he
his
does.
early career,
Yeah. So he actually says that he wanted to extend his contract at Barca and actually thought that he had. Like, he went off on holiday to Brazil in the summer thinking that his contract was extended, and then gets a call saying, like, no, we're not, and we're selling you. So he ends up moving to Inter Milan. It's another world record fee, 19.5 million. So
Barca just wanted the money.
I guess if
I guess they
needed
wanted the money,
You're
yeah.
basically doubling your money in a season or whatever.
yeah, it is impressive that he's broken the world transfer record twice in
yeah.
2 years.
I mean,
So-
he's just the best player in the world. at this
yeah.
point.
He's
Being used like a piece of meat between the clubs.
yeah. And he's on top of his game at that point, but his clean living football god lifestyle is about to come crashing down because he's called up for Brazil for the 1997 Copa America, and he's in the squad with Romario, the legendary Brazil striker, who was a real idol for Ronaldo. Like, he grew up idolizing him, and Ronaldo says he learned a lot from Romario. Romario, though, wasn't all about imparting football wisdom to his young prodigy. So they're at a training camp before the tournament, and one night Romario convinces Ronaldo to sneak out with him. So they scale the walls of this hotel and go out partying. They don't get back home till 5 a.m. And the next day in training, Ronaldo's pretty out of it. He says he only realises later that this was all a ploy by Romario to tire him out and take his place in the team.
Twisted motherfucker.
Oh, because he's like
Yeah.
this young gun. I need to fucking deal with
Get
this
him
threat.
out.
Yeah, it doesn't work though. And Ronaldo's the first choice striker at the Copa America, but the fire of partying has been lit inside him. There's a great article from a journalist who was covering the 97 Copa America. It was in Bolivia, and he describes running into Ronaldo in nightclubs on multiple occasions throughout the tournament. It was always after Brazil had won a match, he'd go out in whichever town it was.
Yeah.
And he says Ronaldo would be flattened by gorgeous Bolivian ladies of all sizes and shapes.
Flattened by
Flattened by
Yeah.
all sizes. Sounds like there might be a story there. That's not shared.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. He's on fire, and Brazil win that tournament. Back at Inter, it continues though. He's absolutely prolific on the pitch and an absolute animal off it. So Christian Vieri, one of his teammates, recalled life alongside him in the team. He says, "When I was at Inter, Ronaldo was the player who trained less than anyone else because he was the best footballer in the world. it was true that we went back home at between 5 and 6 in the morning. We went clubbing, and then I used to sleep for a couple of hours and went onto the pitch to train, while he laid down on a bed and ate brioches and drank cappuccinos.
Love that.
It's a good life.
The big problem was that the following day at midnight, he used to show up at my house and honked until I came down, so we'd go out again.
Love that.
At this point, he's just constantly partying.
He's just constantly partying.
He's got a taste for it.
You are now starting to see the difference between him and the other Ronaldo, who's like going home for steamed fish.
Boring, straight bastard.
But amidst all that partying, he's still so good. He just can't stop scoring. That first season with Inter, he wins the Ballon d'Or. He also wins the FIFA Player of the Year. So when the 1998 World Cup rolls around, the world is expecting a masterclass from the best player on the planet. And that's exactly what they get. So he's the star. Brazil make it to the final. They're against the hosts, France. But just before the game, disaster strikes. So it's the day of the match. Brazil are at their team hotel doing their last preparations, running through their tactics, getting ready for the game. And after lunch, Ronaldo goes back to his room to just take a little nap before the game and gets into bed, cappuccino before lunch. He gets into bed and then starts having a fit. So he's like convulsing, his limbs are going everywhere, he's frothing at the mouth. Luckily, Roberto Carlos and the striker Edmundo are there. Edmundo has to hold him still, and one of the other players holds his tongue to stop him from swallowing it. So obviously this is hugely traumatic for all of the players as well, and it's hours away from the biggest game of their lives. Ronaldo gets carted off to hospital, but all of this is completely unbeknown to the wider world. So it's a huge shock 70 minutes before kickoff when Brazil release their team sheet and Ronaldo's not in it, Edmundo's starting instead. And this news is sending shockwaves around the world, but there's even more surprise 30 minutes later when a revised team sheet comes out and Ronaldo's starting. So everyone's sort of speculating about what's gone on. There's clearly something that we haven't heard the full story here. So Ronaldo plays 90 minutes, but he's really out of sorts. Brazil lose 3-0 to France.
Like you weren't there.
Yeah, it was mental.
Yes.
They were saying that it was almost better off. Obviously, you can look back in hindsight, but it was better off maybe just starting Edmundo.
Yeah. Even if he brought Ronaldo off the bench.
Maybe, yeah.
But it seems like also it was the whole team was shaken by it. So like they just didn't show up for that game.
And France definitely took advantage.
Yeah.
Pricks.
It's a bit like it's like when Denmark had to finish that match after Christian Eriksen.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you're fucked. Like
and it's your star player.
Your star player is just like had a medical emergency in front of you. Like,
do you think if he doesn't have that seizure, they win it?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
Because I remember the whole game. I mean, I was 9, but I do remember it, and it was so weird.
France did play really well, though.
They did.
There are some rumours about what actually happened. So Edmundo claims that Nike put pressure on Brazil to start Ronaldo because he's the big star.
Yeah.
That's
he
plausible.
sponsor him.
The boots.
Yeah, I think that's plausible.
Yeah. There was a TV Globo, Brazilian TV channel, slightly less plausibly claimed that Brazil were bribed with $23 million by FIFA. So apparently FIFA promised them an easy run in the 2002 World Cup and that they'd host it in the next decade, which
they did.
Just saying.
Although
FIFA are bent as fuck, though.
Actually, it took 2 decades, didn't it, for them to host it, but still.
Yeah.
But why would Brazil agree to that? You're like, we're in a final. Why would we be like...
Let's just beat them.
Why? Because FIFA wanted the hosts France? It was quite a nice story.
Yeah, and apparently Sepp Blatter had just become FIFA president and apparently would make Sepp Blatter happy if
he is bent as a 9-bob note, that bloke.
Bent.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sceptical that they'd go as far as rigging the World Cup final. There was another rumour that Ronaldo had actually had a breakdown after discovering that his girlfriend had had an affair with a Brazilian TV journalist.
Yeah, he just doesn't strike me as the kind of bloke who'd care.
Yeah.
I heard that he'd obviously, because he'd had the knee problems, that he'd had the injection into the knee and then that had gone into the bloodstream, causing the seizure.
Because I was thinking, has he had a seizure before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And then the other one I heard was that he had thyroid problems about it, and that can affect your weight, and he was putting on weight, so they were giving him injections to control his weight like they used to give to Maradona, and then that he took too many, and that caused the seizure.
That's also plausible. It feels like there must have been something that caused the seizure because he wasn't epileptic.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think after that sort of medical fiasco, Ronaldo would be extra careful when the next Copa America rolls around in 1999. But he rocks up quite severely overweight, and the doctors decide to stick him on Xenical, which is a quite heavy-duty weight loss pill. Has an unfortunate side effect, though, diarrhea. And Ronaldo ends up having to play the whole tournament in nappies.
Shitty ass.
Nappies?
Yeah. Yeah, he still gets the golden boot, though, and Brazil win. So
Can you imagine just like playing in a match and you're like...
You shat yourself.
You've got shit on you. I guess you just get on with it.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 99.
So also, weight loss pills back then, they're basically just like amphetamines, aren't
Yeah.
they? They're just like flush you. They're not like a Ozempic, kind of sophisticated.
Is Ozempic the one that's a bit viral at the moment?
This episode is brought to you by
Ozempic. And JP's about to go on it.
JP, you've been trying Ozempic for a while. What do you think?
I feel great, Jack.
Yeah, no, Ozempic's the one all the celebs are on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are they all in nappies as well?
No, I think now you wouldn't need it, whereas I think back then you're just looking at a sort of...
I think I did actually look into
Ozempic.
Xenical. No, Xenical, the one that Ronaldo was on. Apparently, you can have it with no sort of bowel issues, but you have to be very careful with your diet. No protein or something.
Right.
I
can't imagine he's that careful with his diet.
Yeah.
It's like, well, but there is a barbecue tomorrow I want to go to. I'll just wear a nappy.
Yeah.
It's easier.
If I go, I go.
Commitment to the sesh. Yeah. Oh, so they win that. So that I guess that feels like a bit of an exercising of demons from 1998. But of course, they really do that.
It's not the only thing that he exercised.
Well, you
His
go
bowels.
Anyway, he still comes to the next World Cup with unfinished business, of course. 2002 World Cup, which we all remember. Japan and Korea. It's a really great one. That tournament's remembered for some of Ronaldo's finest football, but of course, it's also remembered for his terrible haircut. We're looking at a pic now. I'm sure everyone remembers it, but we'll stick a link in the show notes. So apparently it was actually inspired by a Brazilian cartoon character.
But it's totally different.
Well, it's kind of the difference. So obviously this haircut is the one where it's only hair at the front. So it's
surprised it's not like come back round or something.
I mean, it is.
I don't think I've ever seen it before or since.
Yeah, it was a one-off. I kind of think Phil Foden, I know Phil Foden does have hair behind the front, but it is actually quite similar at the front. It's like that clean line. It's a terrible.
I'm surprised someone like Richarlison hasn't done it before.
Yeah,
he's
tribute.
the type.
Yeah.
Jackson also has a few dodgy barnets.
Jackson
for us, Chelsea.
Oh right, yeah, Nicholas. Yeah. Although Ronaldo actually says there was some method to the madness of the haircut. He says, I did it to distract people because I was carrying a leg injury and I didn't want all the focus to be on that, particularly after what happened in '98.
Right. Yeah.
So he was like, I'm just going to let everyone ask me about my fucking hair
Shit
instead.
barnet. Bit of trivia. Apparently, he only played 52 games between 1998 and 2002.
Of course, yeah, because this is when he has his knee injuries.
He was out for 500 days.
Yeah, which maybe in some respect keeps him fresh.
Yeah, so maybe he played that Copa America and then had a point to prove in 2002.
Because it's those injuries in the late 90s, early noughties is when he loses his pace.
Yeah,
a bit like Michael Owen did.
Yeah.
But he's obviously still so good, but he does lose a bit of that just like terrifying run at you thing. But he's still just such a good finisher. He scores 8 goals in that World Cup.
Yeah, two in the final.
Amazing. Still on the haircut though, it does spawn the odd copycat.
Oh God!
Such as this one. Got one here with the headline: "Mum left fuming after barber gives unaccompanied son a Ronaldo haircut." Because he's blonde, this kid, and he appears to have waxed the back of the head rather than just shaved it. It looks even shitter.
Wow, you just got to shave that off, haven't you?
Yeah.
Surely he went in there and asked for a Ronaldo haircut.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get some nice fade on the side?
Yeah, anything but this. Ronaldo said later, "My mum and millions of mums around the world, they all hate me to this day for the haircut. I apologise."
Yeah.
Which is, I love that. Anyway, but away from the barber's chair, he is having a blinder, as we said. 8 goals for Brazil. I would argue he's not quite at the level he was before, as we said.
Yeah.
But it is probably still his finest hour because he leads Brazil to their 5th World Cup, which is a record. And away from the pitch, he's scoring as well. So while he's in Tokyo, he meets this Brazilian waitress, begins an affair with her that will last many years. He also gets her pregnant. So Ronaldo's on wife number 2 at this point, I should say. So he's already been married and divorced and then with a new wife. And he's now also impregnating a waitress. It'll take him years to find out that he has had a son with her, but he finds out.
Nothing like a waitress mistress
Yeah.
in Tokyo.
It's quite specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brazilian as well.
A Brazilian one.
Yeah, all his wives are Brazilian, actually. He rarely goes outside of it. I mean, I'm sure he does go outside of it. Quite famously.
Yeah.
Up until this point, he's only got one child, which is his son, Ronald, which I always really enjoyed.
Is this the one who's just been called up for the... one of his sons is predicted to be really good. I don't know whether...
No, I think Ronald's pretty old now, but he does at one point, he plays in this tournament that's known as the Jewish Olympics, and everyone's like, you're not Jewish.
Wow.
He's not Jewish.
That's random.
But they let him play because he plays with a Jewish club or something in Brazil. It's very random. It reminds me a bit of how Maradona's son, his illegitimate son, leads Napoli to their first ever title in beach football.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
good.
the Scudetto of the sand.
Diego's proud of you.
Kind of the same. Kind of. Anyway, that summer is huge for Ronaldo because on top of his World Cup winners medal, he signs for Real Madrid, who probably the biggest club in the world,
Yeah.
you'd say.
He is a Galactico. Isn't
He is. He's actually one of the first Galacticos. So this is just the beginning of that era where Florentino Perez is back in charge of the club and he's like, right, I'm going to bring in some real stars.
Yeah.
He pays 45 million euros for Ronaldo. It's a big old fee. But Ronaldo
Is that
does
another world record?
I think Zidane
no,
was that
Zidane was
summer, wasn't
before.
he?
Yeah, and Zidane was
yeah.
more, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zidane was the
I think-
record for years.
Yeah, Zidane was the biggie. And then Figo just before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, we cover the whole Galacticos era. We did an episode on it. And we talk like more broadly about some of these stars, but the Ronaldo story is a really good one. He doesn't let Perez down. On his debut, he scores after 61 seconds, and then he scores again. But from day one, he's constantly out clubbing and partying. This is the era where he's just like, fuck it. I do it on the pitch and I do it off it.
Yeah.
Do what I want. And it's kind of helped because the manager at the time is Vicente Del Bosque, who's he'll go on to manage that great Spain team who win everything. But Del Bosque is famously lax. And so one of his rules was that you only train on afternoons on Monday and Tuesday so that the players' hangovers don't impact you.
Nice.
So it's sort of a bit of a Tuesday club.
Yeah, I was
flavour
about
to
to
it,
say,
yeah.
George Graham vibes.
Yeah. Ronaldo says, in my defence, I only partied when we won, but we always won. So my partying seemed
Partied all the
excessive.
fucking time.
Well, apparently he's just like the life and soul of every party. He's just like anywhere in Madrid, people gravitate towards him. It's a bit like Maradona in Napoli, but just like a lot more fun. So Steve McManaman, his teammate, remembers, he said, you go for lunch and he invites everybody. You be at a table with him and it would just be a judge sitting opposite, talking to a politician with someone off the street listening in. He just had this amazing aura where everyone wanted to join him. Sometimes there'd be 20 to 30 people sitting at mealtimes with him. He was a wonderful person.
That is very Diego Maradona-esque.
Yeah,
isn't
although
it?
with Maradona, it's
Maradona's
like...
is more
a bit
just,
more seedy.
just
and-
like 7 mafiosos.
Yeah, they're like
Cokey.
putting a Rolex on his watch so that he has to come and like kiss their like daughter's baby. It's all a bit more sordid. Whereas here, it's just like people just love Ronaldo and he's just bringing the party. That first season goes really well. He scores 23 goals. He wins his second Ballon d'Or, I think chiefly for the World Cup win, but obviously he's backing it up with his club. And Real are in this long title race with Sociedad. So Barcelona are also Rans at this point. They finished 6th in La Liga that season.
I remember that.
But Sociedad do really well, and it comes down to the final game of the season. Real Madrid just have to beat Athletic Bilbao, and they'll be crowned champions. So big week, match day week. You think like just
Knuckle down.
just knuckle down, lads.
Bit of focus.
And captain Fernando Hierro, the defender and captain, he brings the team together, and he's like, "Look, guys, it's one more game, it's one more week. We just got to win. Train hard, please. Just like get some extra sleep. Let's take this seriously." And Ronaldo's like, yes, skipper, yeah, absolutely. And then the next day, Ronaldo and Roberto Carlos jet off to Paris to party. And apparently Hierro just like opens the paper and it's just like his 2 star players samba dancing out of the Moulin Rouge. He
loves that.
For fuck's sake. So they get back a couple of days before the game and Hierro bollocks them. He's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I told you. And Ronaldo just says, don't worry, skipper. We'll win the league this weekend and I'll score a couple. And you know what? He fucking does.
Quality.
Ronaldo scores twice as they beat Athletic Bilbao 3-1 and seal the title. And you know who scored the other goal? Roberto Carlos. Love it.
Brilliant.
Good boys.
This is what I mean about this pre-9/11 vibe. This is what I mean about this thing of like, with Ronaldo, it's like, everything's just going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. I love that. It's like, you can really rely on him.
Yeah, I guess it's also like a bit of a Brazilian way, isn't it? Like, they're just quite fluid and just like, right,
Relax.
we'll go party, we'll go play, everything will be great.
Yeah, what's the stress?
Yeah.
But he really lives that.
Yeah.
And of course, when they win the title, who's going to host the party? Obviously, it's Ronnie's place. So the schedule for that night, they have a team dinner at 2 a.m. Nightclub, they get there at 5 a.m. And then the after party at Ronaldo's starts at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Steve McManaman remembers he's got a smoke machine on, bit of music and dancing, and there's chaos. There's bodies all lying around the house drunk. Sounds like and the rest, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few balloons knocking around.
5 a.m. after party start.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. after party start.
Yeah, you can definitely picture them all. Just like, even Fernando Hierro is like, you fucking did it, you bastard.
Bit stronger than vodka Red Bulls in that place.
Yeah,
you know
you
what I mean?
suspect.
Yeah.
Although it's not a great night for all of them. So the club sack manager Vicente Del Bosque 24 hours after the league win. They're probably still at the
They're still up.
afters.
Yeah.
That's a very Perez move, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently it was really controversial at the time.
That'll really bring you down.
Yeah.
What when Vicente turns up?
Been up for like 36 hours and then
Gaffer's gone.
You stick on the TV and it's fuck.
Gaffer's gone. Right, call him again.
Wrong guy.
Gonna need more.
Call him again.
On the Del Bosque thing, it was really controversial at the time. He's just won them the league.
Was there any context as to why?
I don't know.
Fallout?
I think so. The guy they bring in is Carlos Queiroz, who's Fergie's assistant at Man United, and that really doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember Real don't win the league again for like 5 years because Beckham joins and he only wins it in his final season. So it's pretty disastrous.
Did Beckham join the same time as Carlos Queiroz?
Beckham joins in 2003, so this summer.
Okay.
So they've just won the league and then Beckham joins. But there's also a big clear out. So Fernando Hierro leaves, Makelele leaves. He goes to Chelsea. Yeah, so I think 9 senior players leave. So Perez obviously at this time has decided I need to regenerate, and it doesn't really work. He just wants to go full Galactico.
Car crash.
Yeah, maybe Del Bosque didn't agree with that policy. Didn't want, because isn't there a thing that maybe it's Queiroz. He didn't really want Beckham. He wanted Ronaldinho. Anyway, so the new season starts, and Ronaldo's birthday's in September. And he decides that this is going to be the start of a new annual event, which is his 3-day birthday party. So he has 600 to 700 guests over 3 days. Looking back, he said, I did what Neymar does now. Singles, downstairs with me, and married people, upstairs with their wives. It's just a separate party. Really good.
I'm still getting Maradona vibes there.
Yeah, but Neymar has tried to do the same vibe, hasn't he? He has the Neymar Palooza every year.
Oh, it's just a bit tacky. isn't
Yeah,
it?
whereas with Ronaldo, it's just pure unbridled
Just imagining
fun.
all of the married players just like standing at the balcony upstairs, just looking over.
Look at that, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan Helguera, who's one of the teammates, he remembers, he said, buses full of girls began to arrive. I was with my wife and we decided to leave, as did Figo. It's like, yeah, cut the
Squares.
fat, off your
Squares.
fuck. Buses full.
I wonder if Victoria Beckham was there cutting about. Probably not.
Well, funny you mentioned that. So remember that this is Beckham's first season and Posh doesn't come to Madrid with him.
Yes.
And Beckham is seen chatting to a blonde model at the party. Apparently they're having a really good chat. And this sparks the tabloid speculation that will end with the Rebecca losing.
Right, yeah.
From this point onwards, they're all speculating that like something's amiss. Apparently Beckham's just like out caning it loads. And apparently after this party, Posh is really pissed off about all this chat. Like, what were you up to at that party? And Beckham has to like really calm her down. He's like, no, I was just chatting to her. I had a really chilled night.
I was on the married floor, don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. I was upstairs.
I never went downstairs ever.
Ronaldo doesn't help him though. He's just calmed down Posh. And then Ronaldo gives an interview and he says, they're like, oh, how's Beckham fitting in? He goes, David's European, but he has a different mentality to Europeans. He'd fit perfectly into Brazil. He had a great time doing the samba at my birthday party last month. I think there's a little bit of Brazilian in Bex. It's like, mate, not what I needed from you.
Victoria straight on the blower.
Yeah.
Doghouse.
So I think in some ways it was, you could argue that Ronaldo sort of leads Bex a bit astray.
Was the Rebecca Lou thing while he did the relationship apparently happen in Madrid?
Yeah, so about a month later, there's this night out where Beckham goes for a night out with SFX, who's his like management agency, where Rebecca Luce works, and he's just seen all night chatting to Rebecca Luce, and then supposedly the affair develops from there. Rebecca Luce gets taken off the Beckham account after that night because Posh complains.
Right.
And then, obviously, they begin their affair. Or maybe it was already underway. I don't think you can blame Ronaldo for that. But I think, I don't remember Beckham being particularly a party guy at United. Do you? Like, he obviously was like a fashion guy and, like, mixed it with celebs. But he wasn't, like, out clubbing super late.
Yeah, I guess maybe the wheels came off a bit for him when he went to Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was just having fun, but then he did obviously cheat on his wife. But back on the party just for a second. So apparently Ronaldo's coming out regularly with trays of canapes for the journalists who are just assembled outside. He's just fucking nice guy.
Having it off, yeah.
Although there were some complaints about the cake. So one of the tabloids said it was a simple Victoria sponge and not nearly enough for such a big and dazzling party list.
Whereas this is the cake that they were brought to at the game.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't think you can.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Really.
Normally you get like piss poured on you from a balcony.
Yeah.
In my
Lucky
experience.
you got an invite, son.
Yeah. Anyway, the partying doesn't stop with the birthday bash. So Real actually decide that they need to assign security guards to Ronaldo to stop his partying. So the idea is that the security guards will like let him have a bit of fun, but they'll take him home at 2 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out because the security guards just join in. Ronaldo just sucks them in.
Mates. Yeah.
So you can't say no to this guy. And then eventually Florentino Perez decides that he's going to confront Ronaldo and just sit him down and be like, what are you doing? You need to be staying at home. And he says to him, look, Ronaldo, look at Luis Figo. He just stays at home with his wife, who's this supermodel.
Boring.
And Ronaldo replies, Prezi, if I had a wife like Figo, I would stay at home too. Although I don't know if I totally believe him because he later said, I used to sneak out when my wife was asleep. So yeah, he's just out having it all the time. And speaking of the wife in question, I think we're up to number 3 now.
Is this the waitress?
No, the waitress is never a wife.
Right.
She's just a girlfriend, a gourmand, as they say in The Sopranos.
Side ting.
Yeah, side ting. His girlfriend at this point is MTV presenter Daniela Cicadelli, who's Brazilian as well. He'd only been married, I think, like a year or 2 before. But he's
rolling through him.
He's back on the horse.
Nice.
And he decides to marry Daniela in a Parisian chateau. He forks out 700 grand for the wedding bash. Fatboy Slim plays, obviously.
Top boy.
Yeah. Love to hear the memories of that night.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the authorities annul the wedding and say it can't count as a real wedding because it turns out that both bride and groom are still married, technically, which bit of an oversight.
I think you would check that before you fork out 700
Did
grand.
we do that divorce?
Yeah.
Did we get it done?
That's
just Samba.
Yeah, fuck it. And to be honest, probably for the best because 3 months later, him and Daniela do break up themselves.
So you just had a bender, basically. With
Yeah. Well, there's a few different rumours about why they break up. So one is that he won't come back to Brazil because he's in Spain partying, and she's just like, fuck it. There's another one I heard is that she catches him cheating online. It's 2005.
Yeah, you got dial-up then. Can you do
MySpace?
that? Yeah.
Habbo Hotel.
Yeah. Ronaldo's got his relationship
Friends Reunited,
status
Club
on
Penguin,
MySpace.
maybe.
Yeah, his penguin grazed another penguin's arse.
Yeah. Seen his Bebo. Who's this bird?
Your Tamagotchi's being a bit flirty. So he moves on from Daniela. So that's 3 wives down, and he's single once again. This is also the era where he starts doing a lot of TV and movie cameos. So I guess obviously we saw him in Malhaçao
in his earlier
teen
career.
drama Snogging. Some of the stuff he's in, Mike Bassett, England manager, he pops up.
Is he?
Yeah, he has annoyingly I can't find a video online, but I do remember it. I need to rewatch the film. But there's a bit where, because Pele's in it loads. Pele's like got full dialogue.
Pele, yeah.
But there's like a bit where they're like asking Ronaldo, like, what do you think of Mike Bassett? And he's like, Mike Bassett, fantastico, or something like that. Some one word. So he's in it alongside Pele, Gabby Logan, and Atomic Kitten.
Nice.
He's also in Goal.
Star.
Who wasn't in Goal?
Santiago Munez.
Santiago
Munez.
I loved that.
That's a great film.
Cried my eyes out.
Probably the first good football film, I think.
Yeah, the football scenes weren't great.
Yeah.
They never are.
Yeah.
But it was good.
He actually
Mike
moves-
Ashley's in it as well, isn't he? Getting called a cunt or something.
Is he?
Yeah, there's a scene where Mike Ashley gets called like a
He has one line. I
fat
think.
bastard or something.
No, I think I'm sure he calls
Mike,
someone else.
Yeah, Mike Ashley tells a fan to fuck off. Because it's Newcastle, isn't it?
He didn't
fitting,
have to act for that.
Yeah.
Very natural.
It was just from the CCTV at St.
Yeah.
James Park.
Yeah, just film
Normal
from
day.
live. Goal 2, he actually moves to Madrid, which
He
is
does,
right.
yeah. I think
yeah.
Ronaldo might be in all 3.
Not
Cool.
surprised, he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. As you can see from his cameo in The Simpsons in 2007.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to see it?
Let's do it, yeah.
Ronaldo, winner of 2 World Cups and 3 FIFA Player of the Year awards?
Yes, I am what you said. Now I travel the world exposing floppers. And your daughter is a flopper. Now, Ronaldo, away!
Bizarre. Bizarre. Who came up with a script for that?
Yeah.
Also, is that
If
him
you
or is
managed
that
to-
just someone? Because he does do the line, it was a real cameo, but there's a Portuguese version. I'm like, is that him?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like him.
You think if you
Very
if you
random.
managed to get Ronaldo for a cameo, you could do it better. So
Yeah. did better
It was
than that.
voted the 7th best cameo in Simpsons history. I'm like,
Jesus.
why?
yeah.
Do Americans do find diving in football like really funny as a topic?
Also,
What's,
where did the
what's
term...
number one?
Yeah, what is number one? And where did
Good
the term
question.
flopper come
That's
from?
what
Yeah.
Americans call diving, isn't
Is
it?
it?
Flopping.
Okay.
But they love to joke about it. So I guess maybe that was funny to them.
Yeah. Americans ruining
However, I
football
would
again.
not question Ronaldo's acting himself. I thought he was great. I won't have a bad word said against the guy,
Yeah.
as you can see. Anyway, what are we? We're now sort of like mid noughties, and at Real Madrid, success has not really come since that first season. So they haven't won the league, as I said. And for Ronaldo, it's, starting to wonder, is the bloke in a bit of decline? This is when his weight issues really start to creep in. His teammates say that he would move the cones in training to make shuttle runs shorter. Love that.
Smart guy.
Yeah. And actually, Ronaldinho, who obviously played with him for Brazil a lot, he said he often had sex before games, but he was very passive during the sex so he wouldn't get exhausted. So, he's thinking about his conditioning. Sort of. Anyway, with the lack of results on the pitch, Real Madrid bring in Fabio Capello, who's, he rules things with an iron fist. And he joins in 2006. This is also when Ruud van Nistelrooy joins, so he's starting to displace Ronaldo in the team. Capello says, the most difficult player to handle was the best I coached, Ronaldo. But at the same time, he was the player who created the most problems for me in the dressing room. He used to throw parties and do everything. Use your imagination
Define
there.
everything, yeah.
And then he says, once Van Nistelrooy said to me, Coach, the dressing room smells like alcohol.
It's not a Capello-esque player. I don't
No.
think.
And it sounds like Ruud van Nistelrooy is a fucking snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Capello obviously is this really strict disciplinarian, and Ronaldo doesn't really fit his prototype of a player. So he decides that he's going to ship him on that summer. But when his old boss, AC Milan owner Silvio Berlusconi, calls up to inquire about Ronaldo, Capello, he can't help but tell the truth. So he says, I told him that Ronaldo was not even training and that he was too fond of parties and women. So signing him for Milan would be a mistake. I think Capello had probably forgotten about Silvio's own leisure pursuits.
That's perfect.
It's actually actively encouraged.
Check.
Partying and women.
Yeah, Capello says, the next day I saw the headlines in the newspaper. Ronaldo in Milan.
The thing is, what can you say to Silvio Berlusconi that's going to put him off in that scenario?
Yeah.
Probably the opposite of that.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
really
he's-
anti-corruption.
Yeah.
He's a bit squeaky clean for you.
Really professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not very professional in Milan. He continues his party lifestyle. I reckon Berlusconi could probably recommend a few spots. There's a story of Carlo Ancelotti confronting Ronaldo in training one time about his fitness. And Ronaldo asked him, hey, what do you want me to do? Run or score goals? And Ancelotti's like, well, score goals, I guess. And then in the next game, Ronaldo scores twice.
Yeah. He's above being told what to do, isn't he?
Yeah. He also, at Milan, crosses paths with another Brazilian prodigy at the other end of his career. That's Pato. So Pato, at this point, is 17 years old. He's just breaking into the AC Milan team. And, it must be quite intimidating. He's going to a dressing room filled with, like, Pirlo, Gattuso, Seedorf, Maldini. And, on his first day, he's probably hoping to maybe get an arm around the shoulder or a bit of advice from some of the senior pros. So this is his account of his first day. When I arrived at Milan, I found myself surrounded by many fantastic footballers. In the changing room, I was sat between Ronaldo and Paolo Maldini, and opposite was Kaká. One of the first things I remember is when Ronaldo showed me a Playboy magazine. He asked me if I wanted to be in his group or if I would prefer to go with Kaká, and made religious symbols at me.
Why has he got a Playboy on him?
What year is this? Also, you got MySpace.
You bring that shit to training?
It's so school. Do you want to be in my gang?
I imagine you open Ronaldo's locker and it's just plastered with like topless models.
Packing his bag for the day. He's got his boots, his Lucozade, Playboy.
What year is
sandwiches?
This is 2007.
Yes, you probably haven't got the internet on your phone, so maybe you are Playboy.
Yeah. It's like the image of him making religious symbols. Like looking at Kaká and just doing like a cross.
I'll do the old Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Like
Holy water.
What I like as well is that is a bit of a mirror of him and Romario.
Yeah.
Romario gets is it like Brazilian striker tradition?
Just passing the baton.
Who did Neymar? They did it a bit wrong with Neymar and Richarlison.
Maybe Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
Did they cross over? Maybe slightly.
Yeah.
Well, in case you're wondering which path Pato chose, 2 years later his wife left him, blaming his incessant partying.
Yeah, good. He's had a bit of a weird career, hasn't he, Pato?
Yeah, you had him at Chelsea for a bit, didn't you?
We did, I forgot about that. And now I think he's in China or...
How he must be
old now.
He's getting on a bit now.
Finished.
But yeah, he never really hit the heights, did he?
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, yeah.
Well, he had Ronaldo for 1 year at AC Milan, and when Ronaldo left, Ronaldinho arrived.
Nice. Just constantly Zambering for like 2 years.
If only they'd overlapped.
Yeah. What might have been.
Yeah.
Despite his lifestyle, though, Ronaldo's still decent for Milan. He scores 9 goals in 20 games for them. But midway through his first full season, he suffers another really bad knee injury. It's actually the other knee. So earlier in his career, it has been his right knee, I think, that caused him a lot of trouble. He said he only played 58 games between 98 and 2002. But this time, it's his left knee. So it looks like it's potentially career-ending. He actually ends up being out for 2 years with this injury almost. So he's feeling pretty sorry for himself and takes himself back to Rio for his recovery. And, this is Ronaldo, so recovery is less cryotherapy chambers and more caipirinhas, I think.
Relaxation.
Yeah. So one night he's out at a nightclub and they leave about 4 a.m. He drops his girlfriend home on the way and then decides to pick up 3 escorts.
3?
Yeah.
Night, babe, love you.
Yeah. So you're not coming in? It's, oh no, I've just I'll be back in. Give me a couple of hours.
Cab driver's like, where to, mate? Yeah. Brass house.
Yeah. Well, he takes him back to a seedy motel.
Nice.
Sort of pay by the hour kind of place. And things are getting steamy in their room when he realises that they're actually transvestites. And at this point, Ronaldo, he tries to leave. He's just sort of like, you guys do you, but it's not my bag. Tries to leave, and 2 of them, they ask for 300 quid, which is probably
for that
just
time.
the going rate. It's for their time. He's fine with that. He's getting out the 300 quid for them when the third demands 50,000 reais, the Brazilian currency, about 14 grand.
Right.
In exchange for keeping the story out of the press.
Mm.
So he refuses.
Yeah. I haven't got that on me at the moment.
Yeah. At which point she apparently runs out onto the street screaming, "O Fenômeno didn't want to pay."
O Fenômeno didn't want to pay.
The crowd slowly gathering. He's like, oh, fuck.
Uh-oh.
She allegedly also broke into his car, stole his driving licence, and ripped out the wires of the phone in their room to stop him calling for help.
Wow.
So
she's good at that.
She
possibly done
knows
that
what
before.
she's doing, yeah.
Because finding the driving license is clever, because if you need proof.
She later pops up in the Brazilian press holding
the driving license.
Holding his driving license.
And the phone.
Yeah.
You know, like when people have been on like holiday from hell and they're just pointing in the photo and they're just pointing at the license. O Fenômeno.
Yeah.
So is that how the story leaks? Because presumably he tries to keep it quiet.
Yeah, so I guess they
mainly from his girlfriend.
The police turn up,
right.
and yeah, the story does make it into the press. I mean, maybe you should have just paid them off. I don't know. But I think, to be honest, judging by her antics, I don't think she's the most trustworthy.
Yeah, I don't know if 14 grand would have done it.
Yeah, I think.
Also, he wasn't really doing the right thing either way, was he? Whether they were transvestites or not.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking is what's his girlfriend thinking the next day when it's in the paper, when there's an escort in the paper holding his driving license.
Yeah, well, that's actually, she dumps him.
Yeah, it's just another
basically
one bites
that's
the dust.
Another one
big time.
She's like, you told me you were going out for a pizza. Getting a last kebab and then you'd be back.
Yeah, that's kind of all that ever comes from it. So the three escorts, they later accused Ronaldo of taking drugs and threatening to hit them. But that's later shown to be part of their sort of extortion game.
I mean, they're the only ones committing a crime, aren't they?
Yeah, so there were... I was trying to find out if any of this ended up in the courts. There were rumours that they were going to be done for extortion, basically. I don't think Ronaldo had actually committed a crime because prostitution's legal in Brazil.
They sound like a right racket, these lot.
Yeah, one of them at least.
Yeah. Choose carefully.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing ever comes of it in the
he just samba dances onto the
next. Yeah.
No worries.
Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. So it's only really his girlfriend dumping him is the only sort of actual negative consequence apart from to his reputation. He never goes back to Milan though.
Oh really?
So I think he only had a 1-year contract, so it comes to an end and he's injured. So
we're like mid-30s now, aren't we?
Yeah. I think early 30s maybe.
He's 27 in 2004.
Oh really? Okay, so mid-30s,
early to mid.
So So he's still injured, so they don't renew his contract. It actually takes him 2 years, almost 2 years, before he gets back to playing football. He signs for Corinthians. The Brazilian president, Lula, presented him with his Corinthians shirt at his signing, which I think just shows what a big moment it was for Brazil to have him back playing in their league. There was actually a bit of a furore at the time because he'd always said that he was a massive Flamengo fan, and he'd been training with them, but then goes to their rivals, Corinthians. So Flamengo fans are
done with him.
Yeah, the Flamengo fans are burning his shirt outside their HQ.
Always quite intense, aren't they? The Brazilian fans.
Yeah.
Right, time to burn it.
He says that
get burning.
Yeah, he says that they never offered him a contract. Actually, it reminds me there was one a couple of years ago when one of their players, I think the player was just playing badly, and they staged a mock funeral.
Yeah,
for him
with a coffin.
They carried a coffin.
Carried it into the stadium.
Yeah, they had an effigy of him in the coffin. He was like a bit of an Eden Hazard at Real Madrid thing. It was like they'd paid a lot of money for him.
Right, he never performed.
And then he never really performed. And then he was the one who, he was injured. He went and hired 2 escorts and got a motel room, Ronaldo style. And the fans, somehow the ultras got wind of his orgy, and apparently they just burst in mid-orgy, just like
beat him
100 ultras and just beat him up. So, God.
Jesus.
Can you lot chill out?
Yeah.
Because I am.
No, your coffin's outside.
Yeah. Ronaldo actually got quite lucky there, just a few burned shirts.
Yeah, exactly, and a blackmail.
Yeah, blackmail to buy some transvestite. He does pretty well though at Corinthians. He spends 2 years there, scores a fair few goals, and before eventually retiring in 2011. It's during his spell at Corinthians that he has a 4th child. Well, not exactly has a 4th child. He discovers that he has a 4th child, which he conceived during his fling with the waitress in Tokyo.
Oh, so that's the same child?
Yeah, so it's the same child. Yeah.
So what year was this?
This is 2011.
Right, yeah, because this would add up then, because the 17... Well, I think his son has just been...
so he's the prodigy?
The World Cup.
Oh, really? That is the prodigy?
The under-17s World Cup squad.
Okay, yeah, because
no idea. Ronaldo Jr.
Yeah, Ronald. You've written here in the notes, Zach, she's a bodybuilding waitress.
So a little update on Michelle. She became a bodybuilder, and then as of 2022... she's a born-again Christian, and she had surgery so that she could get married in church as a virgin.
She had her virginity restored.
Yeah.
Don't know whether it works like that.
I don't think that counts, but...
Well, in the eyes of the Lord,
there is a lot of... in that world, there's a lot of, like, playing those games, isn't there? Like, always the rumour you hear is that, like, anal is fine, but you can't have sex until you're married. You ever heard that? Among, like, born-again Christians? JP's looking shocked. Yeah, drop the A-bomb. Yeah. You never heard that before?
No.
I always heard among those no-sex before marriage Christians, in some, particularly American communities, that they have anal, and apparently that's fine. So I guess you can have your virginity restored by surgery.
Wow.
Okay.
Born-again virgin.
Well, you know more than me about it.
Maybe there's still time for Pato. We can restore his... virginity and Christianity, his soul.
We'll tweet him, let him know.
He'd still be allowed back into Kaka's God Squad, maybe.
Someone call him in Shingen or wherever he is and tell him.
Big news.
Yeah. Anyway, after discovering that child, Ronaldo decides he's going to have a vasectomy. He says he's going to close the factory. Although later he actually reveals that he's frozen his sperm. He says, "I still have some on ice, enough to make a football team."
Okay, so he just wants to choose who he has the children with for once.
Probably wise, mate. Wise.
So you've had by sort of Brazilian star standard, 5 children's not mad numbers, is it? Roberto Carlos has 11. Yeah, from like 9 mothers.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's
Did not know.
He could use the snip, quite frankly.
Hell of a left foot and some serious swimmers.
Yeah. Those are 2 things I know about Roberto Carlos. Name a third. It's got a funny little beard
if we ever do a Roberto Carlos episode, that's the title.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
As for Ronaldo, he does finally hang up his boots in 2011 after those 2 years with Corinthians. And retirement, as you'd expect, is not too kind to his body. His fitness does suffer a bit.
It's his thyroid, Jack.
Yeah, it's definitely the thyroid. So Peter Crouch says, I was on holiday in Ibiza and I saw Ronaldo on the beach. He was busy getting through bottles of beer and he had an ashtray balanced on his stomach. Every time he finished his drink, the supermodel who was with him brought him another. Sounds pretty great.
Sounds like he's living his life.
Yeah, sounds pretty great.
There's also a really famous photo of, and this is the most random photo on the internet. It's Ronaldo and Noel Gallagher at DC10 in 2011, which is when the DC10 crowd was like proper headsy techno. And for some unknown reason, they'd gone clubbing together, which is a very random duo, isn't it?
Love to hear the conversation.
Google Noel Gallagher, Ronaldo, DC10.
That's
it's
great.
A very random photo.
That's amazing.
Kind of a similar vibe. I can see them getting
Are
on.
they the same age?
Probably not
Noel's
far
a bit
off.
young, a bit older.
A bit older, yeah. I don't know how they like interlinked, but
It's just that world, isn't
Yeah,
it?
love
Is
that.
Ronaldinho's the one who, it's like a big thing in Brazil that he just pops up in the most random situations.
really, yeah, I love that though.
It's like a known thing that you'll just like always see. Like he'll just randomly be like drumming
like
at the World Cup ceremony, or like he was at like a concrete conference, and then obviously he was in jail. And then there was one recently.
Didn't he do like a kickboxing film with Mike Tyson or something?
Yeah, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah.
Where did he go? Concrete conference.
Yeah, he was just like there
There
in a
was some
suit
like
in the
Middle
front
East.
row.
Wasn't there like a Middle Eastern conference on policing or something?
Yeah, it's a big meme in Brazil that like you'll just of course Ronaldinho's there in like the most random thing, he'll just be in the picture.
Plays on it now.
Yeah.
really.
But yeah, as for Ronaldo, obviously, you know, retirement sounds pretty great. He does balloon a bit in size. So at one point he reaches 120 kilos, which is nearly 19 stone. It's quite
That's
big.
a big boy.
And then in 2014 he goes on a Brazilian weight loss show, a bit of like Celebrity Fit Club, and he loses 20 kilos.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. That's like you're losing your Ryanair baggage allowance if you pay for a check bag. That's how much he's lost. They're fucking
That's
heavy.
impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he maintain it?
Unfortunately not. He does put it back on, and there is a great video which illustrates his ballooning weight, which I've linked to in the show notes. It's him. So he's coming out of an elevator, and the elevator on the doors, which are closed, have a picture of him in his like 90s prime in a Brazil shirt. It's a Nike advert. He looks very trim, and then the doors open, and out comes O Fenômeno, looking a little bit larger.
Oh, they've done him here, haven't they? Bastards.
The look on his face is a bit bashful as well, isn't it?
What?
He's got quite a tight hoodie on. To be
Yeah,
fair.
but he's pretty round.
Yeah. I mean,
It's quite stars in their eyes. Do you remember
Yeah.
that program? Like
Bit of
tonight,
smoke.
Matthew, I'm going to be
Yeah, a bit of smoke.
40 kilos heavier. Anyway, his eating isn't the only thing causing fitness issues. In 2018, Brazil and Norway play a veterans friendly. So it's the 20-year anniversary of in 1998 in the World Cup. Norway actually beat Brazil in the group stages in the final game, and I think it's the last time Norway reached the knockouts. So it's like a famous game in Norway, and they organised this Legends game in Oslo. Ronaldo's not deemed fit to play, so he's the manager, but Roberto Carlos is playing, and apparently they have like quite a good half. Come in at half time, all the teammates, and in the dressing room they just find Roberto Carlos and Ronaldo just having fags, just smoking. And they take this iconic picture, which is, of course, the Upshots cover art.
Is it?
Yeah, look, we're looking at behind us. It's blurred, the one we're looking at, but that's the picture. It's them smoking. It's the picture advertisers keep asking us to change.
Great.
Famous, yeah, iconic.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah. That was the moment that this podcast was born.
Yeah, the sentiment was born.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
Yeah, thank you, Roberto Carlos and Ronaldo, for smoking at half time. But again, it just kind of symbolises their don't give a fuck vibe. These days, if you're wondering what he's up to, he is, of course, the owner and chairman of Real Valladolid, the second-tier Spanish side.
How are they doing?
Well, so he took them over in 2018, and Valladolid are second-tier stalwarts. So they'd been in the second division for 36 years. And so Ronaldo felt quite comfortable promising the players that if they could get promoted to the top tier, he would take part in a 500-kilometre cycle across Spain. Unfortunately for Ronnie, they only went and fucking did it. So they got promoted, and they were in La Liga. So off he went on his bike. He said before, I know I will suffer. And he did. There's some quite good pictures if you Google it of him just like sweating on this bike. Sadly, they were relegated the following season, so they're back in the second tier. There's quite a nice video as well from his time of him sort of like meeting the squad, and he's in the dressing room and he gets to their goalkeeper, Jordi Masip, who's got a broken arm. He's got like a left arm broken. And Ronaldo just takes a look at it and he gives him some advice. He goes, wank with the right hand then. Cheers, boss.
Thank you.
Yeah. And last year, 2023, he tied the knot on his 5th wedding.
Nice. Hopefully this one's for life.
Yeah, he said, my girlfriend now is very happy that I've also retired from the parties, but I miss it so much.
I still see him with photos partying in Ibiza and
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't think he's stopped partying.
He's also doing some really, and this is where I don't want him to fall to, he's doing some really naff advertising deals.
What kind of thing? Crypto?
I've seen him do one with the Sun recently where he turned up for an Essex non-league side.
Oh yeah, Roberto Carlos does that as well.
Is
it's
that the Sun? I thought it was one at a bookie.
And they put him in like this really tight kit and he's just looking like just a bit of a whale.
It's a bit
And
demeaning.
Like, my vision and my memory of him is Brazil 98.
Yeah.
Don't just get paid like...
Because I would say generally he's had a pretty good retirement in terms of like, okay, he's bigger and stuff, but he still seems to be just like having fun and nice.
Party. But yeah, just don't do the naff.
Because Ronaldinho's doing a lot of like weird... He did that publicity stunt during the Copa where he was like, I don't even want to watch Brazil anymore. I prefer tennis.
Really?
And then it was actually a
was that
promo.
publicity?
Yeah, for like, don't know what.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like...
The dream is to go Snoop Dogg route.
Yeah.
And just get paid $500,000 a day to just do
the
funny
Olympics.
shit.
But like, Snoop Dogg's, I mean, he does Just Eat adverts, which he got $1 million for. So like, I don't mind a bit of selling out for money, but just like not for like bookies and tabloids, crypto. That's what that's for
Royal
us.
Navy on the other hand.
Yeah, the Royal Navy, encouraging people to go and sign up to the Navy. Yeah, I don't mind doing some mindless promo for a brand, but you don't want it to be like at his expense.
Yeah, naff.
Because
you don't want him to be humiliated in it, which they
That was
kind of
clearly
did
was.
in the
also those ones are a
pay
bit
for it.
publicity stunty. It's a bit like some people think that Ronaldo's just playing for a Sunday League team, and then you find out it's an ad. And
Yeah,
it's just a bit
it
like,
just
fuck
yeah.
off. I think he's had a good retirement, generally.
Yeah,
I mean,
generally.
Ronaldinho went to fucking jail. And I think the natural comparison is with Ronaldinho, like the two stars of their era for Brazil, probably both equally talented. I would say Ronaldo. Who made more of their talent? Ronaldo.
Probably Ronaldo, I'd say.
Yeah, if you wanted to look at trophies, I don't know who's won more, but I'd say probably Ronaldo was.
I think, yeah, Ronaldinho obviously won the Champions
Champions
League with Barca, I think. Did he?
Yeah, he must have done.
I'd say Ronaldo made a bit more of it. They both slightly like chose to have fun at the expense of their own success, but good for them.
Yeah.
Ronaldo hasn't been to jail for forging a passport.
Is that what Ronaldinho did?
Yeah. We've obviously done an episode on him, so we won't get too into that. But yeah, I think if I was going to be a Brazilian megastar,
I'd go Ronaldo.
Over Pele would be the other.
Yeah. He's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had fun at a really good time.
Yeah.
Late 90s when football is just like mega stardom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean, I'm not even going to ask about the wrong measure because he's obviously not one.
Well, I mean, he's had a lot of kids with a lot of wives. I suppose that's it.
Yeah, if you were one of his wives, you'd probably think he's an absolute cock.
Yeah.
Nah, I think he's very lovable. He just did it in a way that he just
lived it, man.
But like just being able to perform at such a high level on and off the pitch is just
and have that sort of youthful exuberance and just being able to have fun and still perform at the highest level. I just think that's amazing.
Probably up there with one of the footballers whose lives you most want to live, I think.
I'd be downstairs at his party for sure.
Yeah. In the basement. All right, that's probably all there is to say about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me, chaps, as always.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Get the Kuiperinas in if you're listening. And we will see you next time. Thanks a lot.